All right. Hey, friends, welcome to the podcast. This is Conversations with Tad. I'm sitting here with Tad. Wait a minute. I'm on the wrong side now.
Yeah. I
Okay.
haven't. Okay.
There
Michael.
we go. Hey, Tad.
Hey, man.
We've had quite a bit of trouble getting this going. I'm glad we got it going.
That's all right. You look great, bro. I mean,
Thanks, man. So do
I
you.
haven't seen you. It's been a couple of weeks now,
Yeah.
and you're shedding it, and you got to get a little tan to you. You
Well,
look good, man. I mean,
I don't know. I haven't been out in the sun in ages.
Well, how you getting it? Fasting?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just, maybe I just got healthy skin.
It's just that Indian in you.
Yeah, there we go. The redneck. No, not redneck. Red man. I'm a red man.
Yeah. Oklahoma.
They better start giving me my due. What are they called? And whenever you get reparations. I need reparations.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you, dude.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
I'm glad we finally got this back together, and I just want to say just three things, and you can take over, and I'll just sit back and shut up.
No. Talk all you want. We're continuing the. Let me just tell everybody we're continuing the discipleship program with Tad. I'm taking them from beginning to end through the discipleship program. We're spending a lot of time on each one, and so hopefully you're really enjoying this. It's great. It's perfect for Tad. And so everybody needs this. We all need to be reminded of these things. And today we're going to be talking about Sola Scriptura and the different sources, how Sola Scriptura compares to the different sources, the Bible alone, talking about the authority of the Bible. And I don't know where this will go. We'll see. We'll see what Tad has to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to the folks that I've talked to. I'm calling a lot of past contributors and partners in this ministry, and Michael has a big ministry, and then we're just under the umbrella of credomissionary.org, and that's where the conversation with Tad is, and that's where we're kind of wanting to get the coffee shop going. And if I haven't talked to you yet, I will. But thank you.
Let me correct one thing. credoministries.org, not missionary.
Oh, yeah. I was saying mission so much because I feel like we're on a mission. And,
this is a mission. This is a mission. We need, America needs it just as much as anybody.
I want, the people that thought how I thought to think how I think now.
Yeah.
And I'm dedicating my life to this. And it's because of Michael. But there's just so many other classes, and we can talk about where the money goes later once I get a hold of you. But I wanted to say thank you for those who've done this already, and this is not going away. So thanks for your contribution. All right.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much, folks. Okay, Tad.
Yeah,
we're going to be talking about continuing the conversation with authority. Just to remind you, the first session here is just trying to get all our ducks in a row theologically so that we can understand. I mean, whenever you're trying to figure out how to pray, how to study the Bible, how to pray, that's a good one, because we're going to have a whole session on prayer. But how to pray, why to pray, all of the different issues within Christian theology. And we want to know, how do we figure this out? I mean, what are our sources? Where do we go to for truth? That's basically it. And so we're kind of lining up all the different sources that you have within Christian theology. And really these sources can be transferred to any place. There's always going to be an authority in your life about something. You go get a new job, your boss teaches you how to do the job, and that's how you learn. Whenever you go to school, there's a textbook that's the authority and your teacher that's the authority. And so when we come to Christianity in general, we're looking because we don't turn around and talk to God and say, hey, God, tell me, just like I was talking about earlier today, tell me, are you eternal and how you can be eternal? We go to different sources because God doesn't talk to us in such a way. He talks through all of these sources. So that's what we're doing, Tad.
Okay.
So first of all, I want to talk about Scripture. We've already talked about it a lot, I know, but I want to talk about Scripture as the final authority.
Okay.
Now do you like this or this better? Wait, yeah, that or that better? You like that?
Just where I can't see me is the best.
Where you can't see you?
Yeah. Okay. The Bible is the
How's
Father.
that?
That's perfect.
Okay. This is a Latin term, and it arose during the time of the Reformation, Tad,
Okay.
during the 15th, 16th century. Martin Luther, the Reformation. Now, when we talk about Sola Scriptura, you want to understand what we're talking about. The Bible is the final and only infallible authority for our faith. Um, it is the primary source we go to. It's sometimes called the norma normans sed non normata, which is the norm that norms, which is not normed. It controls everything. And so it is the source we go to that we say has authority over every other source, over our teachers, over the government, over everything. It has authority because that's where God primarily speaks through the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this a long time ago. I mean, gosh, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and you were like, yeah, it was funny where you were at then with regard to the Bible. It was like, how do I know it's true type thing, or why should I believe it, or why should I go to that? Here's the deal we're doing. We're comparing the Bible here to these different sources where this guy, have you seen this picture before?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think we did it at the very beginning, but let me
Yeah,
review.
we did. I think it was the last one we did, actually.
Was it?
But I think so, yeah.
Okay, but this guy here is trying to figure out what is truth, and he's got all these different sources. His church, the society, his mom and dad, the creation itself, his own experience through prayer, his own emotions. Emotions are a very big part of this, and so when we're talking about authority, we're talking about these 5 sources. Where do we go for truth? We go to the Bible: reason, tradition, experience, and emotion. The Bible is the final authority that rules over all these. These kind of keep guard over the Bible. Tradition, think of these as the Bible up front, and that there's all these other ones standing guard around the Bible. It's not that we don't use them, but the Bible is the primary source. It is the place we go to for whenever we're looking for truth. So whenever you're talking about, let's go through each one of these individually so we understand it. Tradition is religious information that has been
Is this
handed.
not the last one we did?
No.
Okay. Maybe I've just been reading too much. All right, go ahead.
I hope it's not the last one we did. I'm pretty darn
I
sure.
think it
I
might.
checked it beforehand.
Okay.
Okay. So tradition is religious information that has been handed down to us from various sources. I've already talked to you about this, but now we're going to talk about some examples and trying to understand it. So we'll start with tradition and we go through examples. What are some examples that you can think of tradition?
Religion.
Huh?
Catholic. Like Catholicism or something like that. Is that tradition?
Yeah. I mean, that's the church.
Okay, the church. Yeah.
Your church, your
I keep saying
denomination.
religion. I need to start saying the church. Okay. Anyway.
Well, it's fine. But you're talking about, okay, we've got examples being the Catholic Church, you got the Baptist Church, you got all kinds of, you got the sources that have come before us in church history past that we look to for authority, from C.S. Lewis, who wrote, all the way up until I think it was 1960 whenever he died, somewhere right around there. But I read him still, even though he's dead. We have all kinds of dead theologians, dead people that we go to, and we say, gosh, I wonder what St. Augustine thought about this, because I really like St. Augustine. Huh?
Augustine.
Augustine. That's okay, though. Someday you'll get it to be Augustine once you're a theologian. Okay, so you've got example within culture carries traditions with it, right? So culture, what is the tradition within our culture whenever it comes to uh uh getting married? Well, right now people are getting married later and later, right? I mean, it used to be 24 was the average. Now it's all the way up to 30s, 30 and 32. And so you got a change within culture that communicates something to you. But this communication, you got to ask yourself the question, does the communication, whatever the culture communicates, is it good or is it bad? Sometimes it's good. Cultures pass down good things, but sometimes it's really bad. Like whenever we have the communication of people sleeping around, fornication, just being sexually promiscuous. That is a normal thing in our culture today. And then we turn to the Bible and we say, okay, what does the Bible have to say about sex? And it talks about it being within a marital relationship. And so you can't look at culture and say, well, culture does it. And so it seems like it's okay if the Bible is against it, because the Bible is the norm that norms culture. It is the authority over culture in the Christian's life. Get it?
Got it.
Benefits. What are benefits of tradition?
It's tradition. I mean, it's and it goes back to the like-minded people, where the tradition comes in, and that's a benefit because and I'm just going to go off Catholics because that's what I was for my whole life, until recently. So that's my frame of reference. But like I know when I go to church, I'm going to see the same people. They're going to sit in the same spots. I'm going to, do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to I know all the prayers. I know what the priest is going to say before he says it. I'm going to get my wafer and then go home before they do the announcements, so I can just ride my bike home. Is what I used to do.
Why do people refer to tradition? Why all those things you just said? Why do people like them?
It's comfortable.
Yeah, comfort. It's easy. It's comfortable. It's what we do. I mean, we none of us really like change. Very few people like change in every area. Whenever you have a tradition that's handed down, it gives you comfort. It gives you comfort for one thing, because like you said, you know what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it gives you a comfort in another way because you're not alone.
Right.
You're doing what if you go in and you say, I'm going to start this new tradition at church, and it's going to be totally different. I'm going to create a church that nobody's ever done before. Whenever nobody's ever done it before, it should create anxiety with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because basically we're saying, right now, I'm smarter than everybody that has come before me, right?
Well, I didn't think it that way, but okay.
Well, I mean, think of it this way. Think of Joseph
I see
Smith.
what you're saying. I'm going to change something because I'm smarter than they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Think of Joseph Smith in the 1800s. Joseph Smith came in and he said,
Mm-hmm.
I have found the true religion. I have corrected everybody's interpretation of the Bible, and I'm starting a new religion.
Wow.
So here's Mormonism. Just get started in the 18th century, 1800 years after Christ, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying it can't be true. I'm not saying you can't lose the truth for this many years. I'm just saying it better give you big pause to try to go against everything. Because basically what you're saying is, God, your Holy Spirit is powerful in people's lives, and you bring people to a certain kind of faith, but it wasn't powerful enough until me. The Holy Spirit, he wasn't powerful enough until he came to me and revealed to me this brand new truth.
Can you imagine the ego?
Yeah, I know. I can't imagine it at all.
So God's saying, so Jesus, my son wasn't really good enough for you, so you're going to go ahead and change some beliefs in this. I mean, because I don't remember Jesus saying anything about you get your own planet.
It's true. They bring up all kinds of odd things.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But that's an example. That's a really good example of how tradition makes us comfortable because we want to follow those who have gone before us. And one of the reasons why people do like the Catholic Church, it feels very traditional. It feels like something that has always been done. And therefore you can rest in the comfort of the normality of doing the same thing over and over again. And it feels like it's right.
Yeah.
Whenever you're alone in any situation, right, Tad? I mean, politics or religion or anything, whenever you're all alone and you don't have anybody that is believing you or supporting you, and you have this whole new way of understanding, then it's just not comfortable. You don't want to be by yourself.
Real quick, my phone, I'm worried my phone's going to die because we took so long to get going. I want to tell you about I'm not trying to interrupt you, but if I don't tell you this, I'm going to forget. And I told them I would say something because they're watching.
Yeah.
Bill and Jane, I met at the Cracker Barrel. You ever been to the Cracker Barrel?
I love the Cracker Barrel.
Oh, dude, that's the first time I ever went. That's
really.
Oh,
yeah. That's like the Black Eyed Pea used to be.
Yeah, but better. I mean,
yeah,
I mix foods that should not be going together at all. But so they were sitting there, and Bill is 94, and Jane, I didn't get her age. I thought it was rude, but she's probably in her 80s. And we were just talking, and I did my thing. I said, there's a good energy with you two folks. How long have you been married? And then so I asked her, and this is the first time I've gotten this answer. I said, do you believe in, God first or religion? And she goes, I didn't believe in either. And I said, well, what are you? She goes, we're Baptist. So I've been invited to go to the Oak Archie Baptist Church. But and I said, so how did you learn about God? Your parents had to tell you something. And she goes, my parents didn't believe in God at all. My cousin did. And they always seemed kind of happy, and they were Baptist. So it took me a long time to learn God. And she goes, I did it on my own way. And I go, Jane, that is the greatest answer I've ever heard in my life. And I'm so happy I got to meet you. And can I do a prayer with you guys real quick? This is in Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
And so we stood up to do it. I wasn't expecting that, actually. And I had to tell her the same thing I've told you a million times. And I told her, I said, I'm the worst prayer ever.
Yeah.
She's like, there's no such thing. And so I prayed for her husband, Bill, and for her. But I just wanted to tell you that. And then this Lisa Morgan person I met at
you guys don't understand. Tad prays with everybody now. I mean, it's you don't get it because you don't know Tad like I do. Right. To see Tad out there praying with people.
Well, because
I mean, as I've said before, I was bad enough turning my life over, but Tad is the next level. Tad is the one who trained me to be evil.
All right, moving on. So, but I don't pray with. There's certain people I just don't feel it. There's certain people that I do. Like their energy is just coming to me. Like I said on that one, that I feel God will throw a lasso on me and say, "Hey, you need to come over here and talk to these people." I truly feel that, Michael, and those are the people I talk to.
Yeah.
And it's been very. I mean, I'm and today for some reason I called you earlier, and I'm not trying to get out of this, and I'm sorry because I love it. But when I called you earlier and I called Kelly or text Kelly, I felt such a different God type of feeling, like really like powerful, heavier than most, but just felt like warm. It felt like love, and I haven't felt that strong. And that's why I called you. Did you pray for me today? And you said no, like always. And then Kelly said, because he's a good friend, that I was weighing on his heart, and that yes. And so anyway, I just it was the weirdest feeling ever. And this is like we're almost a year into me, like 6 months, and then me really believing in this, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger. And I don't understand it. I don't know when it's going to stop. I don't want it to. And anyway. So if my phone goes out, it's not because I'm mad at you or anything. It's just because it's going out, and I don't have anywhere to plug it in here. But so how to pray, why to pray, and where we go for truth. Is that coming up?
Well, this is what we're talking about, where we go for truth. I mean, it's the sources of truth. Okay. So this is everything right here. Okay. Now, really quick, because we should have started with emotions, because there's a lot to say about emotions right there. But you've got the deficiencies of tradition. Tell me about some of those that you can think of.
God, I think the deficiencies are some that we just talked about with the benefits, or tradition.
Yeah,
that could be a deficiency too. It could be why do I believe, and that's why I'm asking all these questions. and we talked about it. I think I don't know. We talked about it, but And I don't know if I believe because you have taught me all this stuff, or do I believe? That's what I'm asking. Like, is there, what do we believe in first? Tradition, the church, or God? And that's why, that's a great question. The deficiencies. I don't, you know what? And not knowing the deficiency is probably a deficiency, actually.
Yeah. Well, no, you were saying, I mean, the benefits are the deficiencies too. It's like you get like with your problem is with Catholicism, but it's not with Catholicism in general. It's with the rote the rote movements of the church. Whenever our church becomes so rote, the prayers, what the pastor's going to say next, everything. That doesn't really teach you anything. It doesn't really change.
It's a great way to put it. But, man,
And it's really pretty, right? I mean, it really is. I mean,
Yeah.
looking at this stuff, you go to some churches that have no tradition, they just teach the Bible. It's not really a pretty situation. I mean, not that way. It's not beautiful. It's not elegant. It doesn't stand out. But when you come to a church that's the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, and the ceiling and the walls, you're always looking up. It's beautiful, and it makes you feel like one guy said that he was the Tsar of Russia, and he was looking around for a religion. I don't know if this is a true story. This is just said all the time, but he was looking for a religion. He went to Muslims. He went to every religion that was around, the Hindus. And then he goes into Hagia Sophia, which is the church in Constantinople. You ought to take a look at it sometime if you want to see the very definition of beauty and tradition. It's just a huge church, and he walks in there and he says,
"Make it to where I can see you better. I need to see your face."
I don't know how to.
Okay, that's all right. Keep going.
Okay. But anyway, so he goes there and he says, I want to be a Christian because of the beauty of this tradition. So tradition is very, very beautiful, but at the same time, it just can become so rote that you have no clue what you're doing. And you may not even believe. Like you said, do you want church or God first? If you go church first, what you're saying is, I like tradition. You're saying, that's my main thing, and God comes secondary to it. Or I find God in tradition, but you ask, how do you find God in tradition whenever it's just kind of a rote thing that you're doing all the time? I know there's ways you can, but at the same time, it becomes a deficiency, like you said, that the benefits become the deficiencies. I watched, I don't know if you remember this. You may have watched it. I don't know. I don't even remember what date it was. Back in 1998, maybe, when Ronald Reagan died.
Yeah.
But I always use this because it just blew me away. I'd never seen the procession of an American president's death. And as you go through, there's all kinds of things you're watching that you're scratching your head over. You're saying, this is really, really cool, but I don't have a clue what it means. Right. There was one point where there was this horse, and you can look this up. It's really cool. I actually looked it up about a week ago because I started thinking about it. I think it's just such a great illustration. Is there's this horse with a boot in backwards. And so that is the horse of the passed on president. And I think what it is it shows that he's always now looking backwards because he doesn't have a future anymore, but all of his past is behind him. And
you just gave me chills, and I'm not kidding.
I know, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking about our military because, Will, and that, how they are so, they're so traditional too. I mean, those guys know exactly what they're doing when they're
doing it.
Yeah. And but that's a different thing. That's just protectors. Dude, you give me chills all over. I'm gonna watch that Reagan's funeral procession.
I think you can watch any president's funeral procession, but look at the
I want to watch
the horseless or the horseless, the riderless horse. Look for that, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And the boot going backwards. But anyway, what it is I looked at it, and I was blown away by it because it was so beautiful, but I had no clue what it meant.
Yeah.
And once I did learn that it's the dead president looking back because he'll never look forward again, it just kind of blew me away. It really did. Tradition can teach. It can teach a lot, but whenever it becomes rote, whenever you're doing the same thing every week, unless you're explaining it each week or at least regularly why you're doing this stuff, it just becomes the end in itself. The church becomes the end, and the what it represents no longer is relevant or that relevant anymore. And so the
Right.
church
Okay.
comes before.
Sorry. Like when I would go to church, I knew, it's almost like you just memorized everything because you've heard it so many times, and nothing meant anything.
Yeah.
Maybe the gospel, the homily, or something. The sermon was always kind of fun, depending on what priest it was, but everything else was sit, stand, kneel, and we're going to say this, and in this order, and then and you just get numb to it, really. And but that's why when you came into my life and have been beating me up about this for so long, and I wish I would have listened to you 25 years ago, man. Just one time, I guess. But this is so much different, and it's exciting because I get to learn something new every day. And I do. I watch you. I love your classes, and that's another thing we're going to do with the credo when we get that house
Ministries.
Back. Yeah. But I'm thinking I got 30 things going on in my mind right now. But that's why it's so important to get it back. Is to get people like me to be more like Michael, and that's the goal.
The goal is for you to be more like Christ, not me, dude. You don't.
Well, it's the same difference.
No, it's not. Not even close.
I never heard about Jesus working on a car.
He could build things. He was a carpenter, dude. I can't do that. I got all this carpentry stuff in the garage, just sitting there. My wife waiting for me to fix all these things I said I was going to, and
yeah,
I don't know how to do any of that.
She'll forget.
Yeah. Well, she just every once in a while, whenever she goes in there, she sees it and is reminded. It was one of those days, it's trash day, and she's putting all these big trash things up. I'm, don't put that up. I can fix that. Don't put that up. I can fix it. And I haven't fixed one thing.
You didn't say you're going to, but you said you can.
Yeah, that's true. Well, anyway, Tad, we're done with this. I mean, we're done with our time, but
yeah,
tradition. So we got through what did we get through? Just tradition, right? Out of the 5
and benefits and deficiencies.
Yeah. We just talked about tradition. Next time we're going to talk about. Let's see here. What do I have up next? My mouse isn't working. That's not good. I have reason. We're going to talk about rationality, and that is
that's my favorite.
So be thinking about that rationality, how rationality plays a part in our faith, and it is a very important part of our faith. As a matter of fact, rationality is the thing that everything filters through. All of these has to filter through something, and if you don't have a subject verb object relationship in English, you're not going to know what's going on, so it's rational. So we'll talk about that more later.
Do you want to talk about it tomorrow?
Yes.
At the same time?
Same time, same place.
Okay. All right, man. I love you, Michael.
All right. Love you too, man. Thanks
everybody.
Around. Thanks for doing this. And man, you don't understand how proud I am of you. I really am.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah. That's why I love you, bro.
All right.